This is ATL Day Ones, part of Locked On Sports Atlanta. And it starts now.
Welcome into ATL Day Ones with Jarvis and Tenitra. We want to thank you for making ATL Day Ones your first listen of the day. And remember, we're free and available wherever you download your podcast. And wherever you download your podcast, make sure. This is important. Listen up. This is very important. That's why I said those words 3 times. Leave us a 5-star review once you're there. Wherever you go, wherever you download your podcast, whether it be Apple, Spotify, it don't matter. Odyssey, wherever you get us, make sure you leave us a 5-star review. We really would appreciate that. I'm not going to threaten anyone today because today is a good old Thursday, and we got a lot of good stuff to talk about, and so I'm in a good mood, T. We're going to start out with the Atlanta Hawks. Schedule is out, T, and Petty Jarvis has circles one game, and we'll give you exactly what that is. So we'll get into a little pettiness to start this thing off, and T, the Atlanta Braves lost last night. Did they tinkle the game away, or did the Mets just doggone do what they do? All right, and last but not least, and for the culture, we now know the number for Deshaun Watson. We'll talk about all that, but first, we got to talk about the Hawks schedule coming out. And T, to be honest with you, these first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games, I'm thinking about 5-0. I'm gonna go ahead and go like my main man Carl Dukes from 92.9 was like, yeah, man, I'm starting to think 5-0. I'm gonna go ahead and get this bad boy started off right. T, how about that? Am I crazy or I think to just calm down a little bit?
No, I think it's legitimate because I see no reason for them not to beat the Hornets. I mean, they beat them last season to get into the playoffs, so I think that's viable. The Rockets, same. Don't get me wrong. I know that they've kind of beefed things up, but you haven't beefed it up that much. And
Right.
Pablo
Yeah.
Banchero is that by game 2, if anything, DeJounte Murray will be on a mission to show him exactly.
I can hear him shaking in his boots right now. Those size 16s or whatever size he doggone wears.
Yeah.
He don't want to see that. He don't want that smoke with DeJounte, I'm sure.
Not at all. Not at all. The only reason I would say it could be 4-1 or 3-2 is because for some head-scratching reason, the Hawks could not figure out the Pistons.
Yes. What was going on? I don't understand.
No matter what they tried to do. That is the only reason I put that caveat out there. We're like, yeah, they could go 5-0. And maybe the backcourt as it currently is constructed can find a way to contain, if not shut down, Cade Cunningham. But until I see it in that 4th game, I'm still going to be like, let's see what you're working with, Hawks. But I still like their chances to potentially come out of the gates 5-0.
No doubt about it. And that was one of the things that, I was going to bring up. I'm glad you did. And they could not figure out the Pistons last year. Cade Cunningham, now he's a baller. Don't get me wrong. But that team was not built to win games last year. And for them to, just struggle with that team, it just left you kind of scratching your head. And I think that one of the main reasons why, because, the Hawks didn't understand or they were allergic to playing defense. So hopefully that's changed with the addition of DeJounte Murray in that backcourt, because we know that's where a lot of struggles were. And obviously Trae Young was a part of that. We can go ahead and say that. That's fine. Yeah. He's one of ours. So, we can be critical. And I think, and that's okay. And I think that's something that Trae is definitely, took personally, and to say, hey, I'm going to get better at that. So when you think about, what Trae brings to the table and what DeJounte Murray brings to the table, that combination of wanting to get better and being one of the better defenders in the NBA, I think that's a good combination for them to try to get that game. But the game that I circle, T, now I ain't tell you this now. It might come as a little bit of a surprise. November 2nd, New York Knicks. You know what? Like, I am so tired of Knicks fans. Oh, my God. Like, I am so just sick of it. I'm sick of it. Like, SICCUIT. That's exactly what I said, and that's how I meant it. So that's why I spelled it out for my folks who don't understand. So, I mean, because, like, this is the thing that I think that, I think a little bit of my pettiness comes from the Christmas Day piece, right? Because
Sure.
that's the New York Knicks are kind of like very similar to the Lions being playing on Thanksgiving, right?
Yeah.
Like, oh, hey, it's not necessarily a good product. It's a tradition, but they've been traditionally bad. So
Yes.
why are they playing on the day that everybody's going to be at home watching? Like, why not be entertained and put the Hawks on there? So I think that, in order for the Hawks to get a little kickback, Trae was a little upset about it as well. Just go ahead and over there and kick their butts, kick their butts, and then, we'll talk about it later. We'll figure the rest out later.
Yeah, and you get them at home first. So that's an
Right.
opportunity for you to make a statement and let them know that the Hawks team rather from the year before, that team that went to the Eastern Conference Finals, it's back in a different iteration because last year, admittedly, the Hawks did have some struggles against the Knicks.
Right.
However, even with their additions of players like Jalen Brunson, I do think at the end of the day that the Hawks will have their number yet again. So Gotham, get ready.
No doubt about it. We'll be definitely having our eyes on that game. Now, T, we've been talking about Deion Jones. He's been on the PUP list, and apparently there was a Deion Jones sighting out in Flowery Branch. And D'Orlando Ledbetter, beat writer for the AJC, got a chance to kind of catch up with him. And, Deion Jones was typical Deion Jones.
Yeah.
I had my interactions with him, and pretty straightforward and said, I'm good.
Yes.
Is this any indication as to whether or not he's going to be around for September 11th against the Saints, against his hometown team, T?
Yeah, I was just about to say, like, I'm good. That's pretty much standard from home. I mean, that's NOLA for you. But I don't think it's any indication one way or the other. I think we all knew at some point that the Falcons, and forgive me for saying it this way, but this is what comes to my mind. We all knew at some point the Falcons were going to trot him out this camp.
You're going to have to, right? Yeah.
Yeah, right. Because at the end of the day, you have to at least show potential trade partners that he is indeed recovered from his injury and he is a viable player that can maybe be better served or better worked in a different kind of system, right? Where you have a small, speedy linebacker, and that's kind of the way you do things a la Dan Quinn. So I think I'm not shocked. I think it was more of just kind of shocked, like you didn't know which day it was going to happen. You didn't know how it was going to happen. You didn't know if they were going to let you know, hey, Debo's coming and Debo's going to be at the podium today. I think that's why it was just kind of really low key because your eyes were more perched on, although you knew Drake London was not supposed to practice this week, kind of perched just to see if he might come out. And again, you and I have talked about it ad nauseum. Were we or were we not going to see Marlon Davidson? Like, what is really going on there? So that's something that you and I even looked at for practice at the Benz Monday, right?
Right, yeah.
So everybody's eyes were kind of perched in a certain direction. All of a sudden, here comes Debo. Not shocked that he was coming because you got to try him out at some point.
Chain in, T.
Right. You got to get him at some point. But it's like, okay. Debo. All right. But I'm interested to see when we start getting footage of those joint practices. I'm interested to see if we actually see him on the field for joint practices this weekend and or if we see him in any schemes in the Monday night game.
Yes, I think that's something that I think you made a great point. I think that teams want to know how healthy he is. And I mean, I understand they do their physicals and all that, and they go through throughout the process before. And you got the pass physical in order for them to bring him on or for the trade to fully go through. But I think it's good to see him out there running around, making tackles, and looking to see and compare that film to where he is now to what he used to be, and see how far are those things apart. Because Debo got a pretty hefty salary, so if if you want teams to take on that full salary, hey, you're gonna have to prove that he's healthy, and I think that's one thing that the Falcons want to continue to do. Now, college football, ESPN dropped the list because we're still in the list season. We're still quite in the list season, so ESPN dropped their top 100 college football players in the country, T. And, I was going through it. Like the first three, no-brainers, right? Will Anderson, Bryce Young, C.J. Stroud. I get it. Totally understand. No problem at all. Now, and they went down to number 6, Jalen Carter, who is an absolute beast of a man on the football field. And I probably could make a case that he was the best defensive lineman on the team last year.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm not crazy. Don't look at me like that. So I think there are a lot of dogs sprinkled in here, but I think Jalen Carter is right where he needs to be as far as being in that top 10 in the country, T.
I agree with you. And it's interesting because when we look at the 7 dogs that were in that top 100, for the most part, no real shocks, right?
Right.
Maybe except Stetson Bennett coming in at 44. I wasn't quite expecting him to be in the top 50. Yeah.
Me either.
And Eric Gilbert coming
Agreed.
in around 86. Right. I'm sure if there weren't the injuries in spring practice and, him just kind of coming off of what happened with him last year, he'd probably be ranked higher because arguably, if indeed this room is the best tight end room in the country, why wouldn't you see him a little higher, or Darnell Washington if he was a little bit better or further along in his recovery, right? But Brock Bowers is right there at 8. So I agree with you. I think Jalen Carter, arguably, now he could have been top 5. He was 6. But like you said, when you think about the fact that quarterbacks, they rule the world. So not surprising that the Heisman Trophy winner was number 2 and C.J. Stroud was right behind him. And then you have C.J. Stroud's number 1 receiver right behind him. So no shock there. Now for me, I don't know about you, I was just a little bit shocked about the running back out of Texas, Bijan Robinson.
Bijan Robinson,
I was a little bit shocked that he kind of won up Jalen Carter, but I agree with you as well. Like, let's see what it's looking like at the end of the season, because when you have pundits who watch these guys faithfully year in and year out saying that, Trayvon Walker got drafted, if you will. Jordan Davis got drafted, if you will. But this guy is actually better. And Devontae Wyatt, of course, this guy's better than all 3 of them.
Yeah, because remember when we were talking, when all those conversations about Trayvon Walker was going number 1 overall, I was like, wait a minute, I don't know about this one. Let me go check this out. The first guy that popped on tape for me was Jalen Carter. Carter was absolutely dominating out there. Now, don't get me wrong, Jordan Davis made plays. Like, remember Devontae Wyatt, Towers High representative, Decatur all day. Those guys were, they played really well, but Jalen Carter was a dude where you were like, yeah, he's the real deal. Yeah. But so I'm not too shocked. But like you mentioned, one more player that I think that was kind of very interesting was Keely Ringo at 14. Yeah, he's a guy that kind of struggled a little bit, but as the year went along, he started to get better and better and better. And that's what you like to see in young corners. And then, of course, in the national championship, pick 6 helps. That pick 6 helps a lot. So he was like, that's probably what sprung him into that top 20. Yes. So I'm sitting right there at 14. So I'm not too surprised about that, T. But coming up next, the Atlanta Braves lost to the Mets last night. Did the Braves tinkle the game away? Or did the Mets just do what National League East Division leaders do? We'll talk about all that next.
Now, guys, listen up and listen up good, because if you have not tried Built Bar Puffs yet, you're definitely missing out. And guess what? There's a new flavor. Yes, Built Bar has done it again. Let me introduce you to your new favorite, cookie dough chunk puffs. They have a light and chewy texture, real cookie dough chunks, and of course, they're covered in 100% real chocolate. And if you are a chocolate lover, not only is it healthy, but it is tasty. So that is something that is exciting because, listen, we all know about cookie dough, right? From our childhood. This is just kind of a different spin on it, and you don't have to make it. So that's a good look as well. Also, 160 calories. If you know this show, you know we are watching our waist and waistline. So They have a whopping 15 grams of protein in them. So that's a good look. And you can go right to built.com. You can snag a box for you and your family. Or if you're like us sometimes and you just want to keep it to yourself, you can make that happen too and just enjoy. Now, what's great about Built? All products have collagen protein, and that's something that allows you to absorb more efficiently. So think about that. You have products out there that won't allow you to absorb things as efficiently as this will. So whether you need a snack out for your workout, Jarvis and I are almost always on that workout tip, a late night treat, this is for you. So go to built.com, use the promo code LOCKEDON15 and get 15% off of your order. Again, use that promo code LOCKEDON15 at built.com and grab yourself a Built Bar. And speaking of grabbing a little something, the Braves tried their best to grab the series last night. They had an opportunity to do that last night, but unfortunately, it did not happen. It was a 9-7 loss, and it was a very interesting dynamic, though, Jarvis, because we've had a couple games earlier. In the week, we had a 55-minute delay, and now there's a 34-minute delay Wednesday night. But here was the interesting part. Before that, the Braves were on the ropes, down 4-0. Jake Odorizzi just giving folks back-to-back home runs, and it's just not looking good. And then you get the delay. He goes into the weight room and starts to look at it, check his mechanics, and then he started retiring batters just like that, coming on the back end. So Odorizzi gave you something, and I say that, Jarvis, because I have a couple questions to ask you in that regard. But Odorizzi did his job on the back end. And then the Braves started slowly coming up, whether it was a sac fly or an RBI single or what have you. And then, of course, our young buck, Vaughn Grissom, really putting them in position to mount the comeback. Unfortunately, then Stevens kind of crapped the bed, and here we are with a 9-7 loss. But let me ask you this. What was the bigger takeaway from that game? I mean, is it the fact that the Braves did battle back and they almost completed the comeback, or that the Mets battle back from their disasters in games 1 and 2 and aren't allowing the Braves to just walk away with the series?
I think it has, as much as it pains me to say this, I think it's the latter. Because when you think about what Max Scherzer did, he was mowing down folks.
Yeah.
like I was like, man, this dude, that dude didn't bust a sweat to the sixth inning. I'm like, this dude just walking off the mound, striking out folks. Got a nice little dip in his step when he just walking off the mound. And I'm just like, good Lord, this dude is absolutely amazing. So I think that, I think what the Mets did, they played their game, right? Because they made the Braves throw strikes, right? If you don't throw strikes against the New York Mets, they are going to make you pay, because every time you get that bad boy in the end zone, strike zone, they're going to foul that bad boy off, or it's going to be a hit, and they're going to make you pitch to them. And then is there any cheek in the armor as far as what you bring to the table in your repertoire?
Yeah.
I think that the Mets are going to take advantage of that. That's exactly what they did at the plate. Once things got going, and you talking about Pete Alonso and Sterling Marte, those guys were just doing their thing. And to be honest with you, it was a battle. And that's what you like to see between two good teams. You don't like to see a lopsided thing, because it's kind of like not real, right? I know we make jokes about the whole 18-1 in 2 games.
Yeah, we like it.
We love it. Don't get me wrong, but what confirms that these are 2 really good teams going at it is the game that happened last night. And I believe that the Mets saying, you know what? Even though you guys made a nice little lengthy comeback or tried to make it a game, we're still here, and we are the division leaders. And I can't do nothing but respect that.
Yeah, absolutely. Because like you said, the Braves are saying we're making a comeback in this game, and the Mets were like, no, we're going to make a comeback in this series. But I love that back and forth, because there was a point where before the rain delay, I was like, come on, man, not for nothing. Like, are you going to allow them to return the favor that easily from the night before? But to see the Braves battle back was awesome. And it was really like a heavyweight fight. And it was a beautiful thing to see, because we all know, Jarvis, that this is going to be a heavyweight fight for this division title until the bitter end. And I think it's important, because now we're looking at the Braves going, if I may, not looking at the front half of that game, even though they lost, looking at the back half of that game and saying, if we can get Max Scherzer in a pickle and get him in a bind, and then we can maybe get to the point where we force Edwin Diaz back into 2 innings, because, hey, the Mets escaped because they only needed him for 1 inning last night.
Right.
But if you can get him or their closers into more than 1 inning, and you start to strategize a little bit differently, then you could potentially win this game. And then as you're getting ready to go back up to Queens, you're potentially going with a 3.5 games deficit from you and the Mets versus, say, 4.5. So I think that's important. The other thing that kind of came out of it for me was this, going back to Jake Odorizzi, and the fact that you got to actually question yourself, though. Excited that he was able to course correct, but on the same token, we have yet to see anything that looks like a good start from him. So I'm wondering, maybe the starting rotation is not for him. Maybe it's just not for him.
Yeah, I think that's fine, because and when you think about it, when you have, but I think it depends, right? If Ian Anderson,
Yes.
once he returns,
Yes.
he started to look like himself, and he starts to
Mm-hmm.
feel like he's really figured things out down in AAA, and he looks like he kind of did that before he went back down.
Mm-hmm.
The last time we saw him.
Right.
I think that's going to be the determining factor whether or not Odorizzi is going to be on the playoff roster, because we know he's not going to be the three guys in the part of that rotation. That's I think we pretty much got that figured out at this point. But But just for him, from a standpoint of whether or not you're going to use him and be on that playoff roster, once that time comes, I think that kind of solely depends on what Ian Anderson brings to the table once he comes back up.
I would agree. I felt like it was more of like a salve, for lack of a better term. You kind of had to put somebody in there so that you could just give yourself another day to potentially get your ace in there in the final game. So you got Max Fried tonight, and hopefully that'll get you the win of the series. But the other piece is this: speaking of potential postseason rosters, Vaughn Grissom is most definitely making the case for himself to be on that post. Yeah.
What? Who said he wasn't going to be on there? Where he at? Let me talk to that person. Let me show him something real quick.
It's amazing. And, Alex Anthopoulos stopped by one of the local radio stations and really talked about the fact that players like Vaughn Grissom, despite the fact that the 8-game winning streak for the Braves was lost last night, but players like him and the way that the Braves came back last night, even though it didn't result in a W, was all about this team in a bigger scope. They got their swag back. They got their swag back and got their swag back at the right time. And they're starting to get players back at the right time as well. He was really, really just high on where Ozzie Albies is at this point. So I asked you, Jarvis,
that's so
despite this loss, do you feel like the Braves have still shown you something that tells you, oh, yeah, the swag is back and they're ready for battle these next 5 weeks?
I think they're very ready, very ready. Let me say that. I think because when you look at what Vaughn Grissom, brings to the table, I'm talking about the speed, and for him to be able to, on the fielder's choice, to be able to force that fielder's choice. What I mean by forcing that is him getting his behind down that doggone first baseline so they won't get that double play to end the inning. And guess what happens after that? Our boy, Robbie Nasty Man, end up hitting that 3-run home run and then get immediately back in the game. And you're talking having a whole different conversation now. And I think that those are the little things that I believe that we're not really used to seeing from a guy who just got called up from Double-A, right?
Yeah.
I know that's kind of crazy. Right. Heads up, just bang, bang, just get down there. Let me just try to extend it in any way that I can by running this bad boy out. And I think that when you have a guy like that who you probably have a choice of whether or not you want to put him at DH, once Ozzie comes back and he's settled in at second base. Man, that is a hell of a weapon to be able to play around with, to say, you know what, I'm going to put Vaughn at DH today. Right. Or we're going to figure it out. Or, you know what I'm saying? So I think just to have him as an option going into the playoffs, and I think, Alex Anthopoulos was right on. I'm right on with him. I'm a-man and over here in the corner right here with what Alex Anthopoulos said.
No question. Yeah, it's always good to have someone else in the holster for that DH position, because we know the other guy that's been DHing, if there's a way to get rid of him, they definitely will. But we don't ever want to get rid of around here, because it actually makes us happy and brings us joy, is Coffee AM, right, Jarvis?
No doubt about it. When you think about Coffee AM, that's why I got my business tie on, because I was just feeling real good this morning. I got my Coffee AM. I went to my little coffee maker that I just purchased, and I don't have any more K-cups, so I went and got the fresh ground coffee, that black satin tea. Woo! Might make your head blow off, because I'm sitting up here like drinking my coffee. I'm sitting up because I was falling asleep at a computer this morning. I ain't gonna even lie. Had my little baby girl in my lap. We sitting there, prepping for the show. She part of the show too. Y'all don't know that just yet, but she part of the show too. So, and I'm just falling asleep, and I'm just like, man, I need something. I need to pick me up. I went to Coffee AM. I got the stash down there in the kitchen, so I had to go get it and see what's going on. You want to get a pick me up in the morning? Let me tell you. I'm gonna tell you how to get down. Listen up. I got you. Hold on. Go to coffeeam.com/locked-on, and you're gonna put in the code Locked On. You're going to get 15% off on your first order. Go ahead and do that. You can select from, gift sets, teas, And of course, I just talked about all the different type of coffees that they have.
Right.
Go there right now, coffeeam.com/locked on. Put in the code locked on. You're going to get 15% off. Go ahead and pull up on the best small back coffee roaster in the country.
Indeed. So I know now, Jarvis, we're about to hit the sweet spot, the fun spot, the funny spot for the culture, right?
No doubt about it. When you think about what For the Culture is, it is the intersection between sports, entertainment, and the culture, and sometimes whatever the hell we want to talk about, because that's just how we get down. We want to thank you guys for continuing to rock with us. We are up over 3,100 subscribers on YouTube, and y'all are downloading that thing wherever you get your podcasts as well. We are looking really good, y'all, so we want you all to continue to do that. And when you do, go ahead and leave us a 5-star review. We really appreciate you for that. Now, big time news just dropped. Deshaun Watson, we know we've heard about the cases, the 24 and 62, just all type of numbers that have been talking about what this dude's been doing and once the pandemic was going on. But now T is finally has come to a close. They both sides, the NFL and the NFLPA, has agreed in principle that Deshaun Watson will serve an 11-game suspension and a $5 million fine. T, is that enough?
That's a great question. I do think at some point you just have to you levy the person and you get it done. Now, I think 11 games, I mean, that's roughly 3/4 of the season, right? So I think at this point, that's probably, and that's more than double, or almost double, I'm sorry, what the judge's recommendation was. So I think that definitely makes a statement in and of itself. And then you have, in addition to that, the $5 million and any other restitution that they so choose. I do think that at this point, that's good enough, because at some point you pay your restitution and you move on. And you know what, Jarvis? I'll be honest with you. 11 games and $5 million will never matter, because the price that he pays for the rest of his life, that's the real penalty.
Yeah.
Everything you do for the rest of your life, whether it's in this league or outside of this league, is going to have an asterisk by it. So again, if he never pays anything more than 11 games and $5 million, he'll pay a price. And trust and believe, there's no money you can put on what's about to happen to him for the duration of his life on this green earth.
Yeah, no doubt. That's something that I think that at some point he's going to start to show some remorse. We may never see it publicly, but when you think about how we used to look at Deshaun Watson before all this stuff went down, like you said, that the price that he's paid or will continue to pay for the rest of his life by his actions throughout this time, he'll never be able to, get that back. Never. Because his character will always be in question. Right. And he's going to be trying to prove himself to people for the rest of his life, whoever he comes in contact with. And I think that's something that's very costly. But I think the one thing that I thought was very interesting, though, T. So, most of the time suspensions are games that's an even number, right? But 11 games is kind of weird. So I started doing a little research, and I come to find out, guess who they play on December the 4th? His first game will he be eligible to return? The Houston Texans.
Again.
Please help me understand. Yeah. Like, if this ends up being a primetime game, I might be more upset about that than the actual number of games that he was suspended. Because if that ain't the NFL trying to capitalize off of a certain type of situation, I don't know what is.
Right. Yes, craziness. I mean, yeah, but that's hey, look, that is big money for you. That's big money for you.
So crazy.
But again, I say he is going to pay the price. He is going to pay the price. That game will ultimately be at his expense, because if he comes back to play that game, man, listen, from the time he touches down in Houston until the time he leaves Houston, it is going to be vitriol. Like, oh my God. I mean, I can't, man, listen, I used to live in Houston. I promise you, I wish I was there to see what in the world would ensue. Because again, you are also talking about not that there was any appropriate time to violate anybody, not
Right.
just women, but anybody to be violated. Not that there was ever an appropriate time, but
Right.
right
Yeah.
now, this is
Yeah.
the absolute worst time that this could happen to you because women are more empowered, thank goodness, to speak up when things come
Yes.
against them. So again, not that we're making light of it, everybody, but on the same token, we're looking like, real interesting. We're all
Very.
going to sit back and be watching to see what in the world happens in early December because that, I mean, and the funny thing is, you're going to have a lot of people like that. I'm sure the ratings are going to be
Of
through the roof.
course. Yeah, they're gonna be crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're gonna watch.
I'm sure the game might be sold out on the inside with protesters on the outside. It's going to be bedlam. It's absolutely going to be bedlam. But again, am I shocked? No. The NFL thinks dollars. That's what makes sense.
T, let me tell you about a time that I was very shocked when the prices of chicken wings went through the roof. But Lord, today, T, the prices are back to their pre-pandemic prices. Chicken wings are back, T. They're back down to their regular prices because,
Congratulations.
yeah. Wait a minute. Like, golly, man, you're gonna kill all my little excitement. Like,
No, I missed that.
this is a good times. We should celebrate. We should
Yeah, for
celebrate
you.
that chicken wings are
For
back down to
you.
where they need to be.
For you. Yes.
Yeah.
The chicken wing came. The chicken wing came right there.
Oh,
Me?
my bad. My bad. Like, you probably were excited because adult chicken nuggets usage went up. When the price for chicken wings went up, a lot of restaurants started going to adult chicken nuggets. I know some of you crazy people may refer to them as boneless chicken wings, but I call them adult chicken nuggets. For those who are like chicken wing connoisseurs, such as myself, we can celebrate today because chicken wings are back, T, and they're back down to the prices that they need to be. So I need for Kroger to go ahead and adjust those prices because $22 for a pack of chicken wings is absolutely ridiculous.
It is absolutely ridiculous. Even for somebody that does not eat them, I want you to get your lemon pepper on just
Yes,
like the next person.
Lord,
Get your
yeah.
celebration on about those wings. And hopefully tomorrow we will get our celebration on about a Braves win of the game and of the series. Max Free, we are looking for you to get it done. And listen, if we hear anything else about this Deshaun Watson case, because we know it's evolving, we know we're going to hear more, we definitely will bring that to you. And of course, we're going to talk some Falcons on the day that they begin joint practices with the Jets. So listen, as always, we appreciate you guys stopping here first. Make sure your second stop is A to Z with Mark Zeno. And of course, be safe in them streets, and we shall see you tomorrow.
Y'all come back now, you hear? 12:45, same time, same bat channel.